welcome to the Get At Gaming Plus podcast. I am Alex,
I'm Ben.
and we like to talk about just anything at all. Um, Simpsons memes, I guess. That's a reverse Simpsons meme. I don't know. Do you know the Simpsons meme where Homer's trying to remember? Like, this is already a great podcast, by the way. The episode where Homer is trying to remember how to ski, and he's like, okay, and he's like, has like a thought bubble. It's like, okay, now this is what you have to remember. It's very important. And then Flanders pops in because he's wearing like a tight like ski uniform. He's like, it's almost like I'm wearing nothing at all, nothing at all, nothing at all. And Homer says, "Stupid, sexy Flanders."
I do not, but after like season 8 or whatever, I stopped watching The Simpsons.
You gotta get into it because like it's not all bad. I mean, Vex will even say like there are some good ones after season 8. Obviously, like where I stop is honestly somewhere in season 11. Because season 10 has Married to the Mob, which is the episode with Mark Hamill, where they go to Comic-Con, and it's like a Fat Tony episode. And I love Fat Tony. He's like one of the best characters. Like there's it's because it's the episode where they're like selling like rat milk or something to the schools. It's like, what? Everyone likes rats. Now you don't want to drink the rat's milk. And yeah, it's so good. And Luke Skywalker sings Guys and Dolls, but he doesn't know how to sing Guys and Dolls, and it's a great time. So yeah, this is a podcast where we talk about nothing. We're Seinfeld essentially, but we're also Simpsons memes. We're also video games. We're also just anything your heart desires. If you like that, if you like The Simpsons, go watch The Simpsons on Disney Plus. But you can't watch Stark-Raven Dad, which is the Michael Jackson episode. Unfortunately, it's one of the best episodes. But if you like us, you should probably go to youtube.com/getatitgaming, and you can find us there in our lovely video format. You can also go to Spotify and try to search for us. I don't think we actually have like a URL from Spotify just yet. So if you just search for Get At Gaming, you should be able to find this podcast, or you can go on iTunes or wherever you want. We would prefer if you go to Spotify and go ahead and follow us, subscribe to us, whatever the thing is on Spotify, because if we get more people on there, then we can do more things, and it's very helpful for us all. But back to YouTube. If you're on YouTube, there's this very special episode. There's an episode that I did with Michaela, aka Gluten Free Waifu. We talked about Pokemon. We talked about the Pokemon Presents, kind of. It was a Pokemon Presents episode, but it was
it's very loosely based on that thing. You guys did hit a lot of that. Very interesting stories in there. I don't want to like. You guys should all listen or watch it. There's a story there that made me laugh so hard. I don't want to talk about it now. We talked about it before we were recording.
Yeah.
Definitely worth a good listen and watch.
Yeah, it's definitely a great watch. Again, thank you, Michaela, for joining us. We hope to have you on the podcast again very soon. But yeah, this is the episode where we just do whatever. So let's start the episode as we normally do. What we've been watching, what we've been playing. Just to kind of get into that stuff first. So Ben, what have you been watching?
So I got caught up on Halo. I was like 2 episodes behind. Really, really enjoying it. I know. I did finish Sopranos. I seem to be watching a lot more Sopranos than I was watching of Halo, but when you have great, awesome characters like, Paulie Walnuts or I can't say the other guy's name.
So here's the thing. I'm not really into Sopranos. Like I've caught some bits and pieces. Like I've never actually watched it, per se. But I know the big thing, not the big thing, I guess. The way The Sopranos ends, is it really as jarring as like Family Guy and people make it out to be, where it just kind of ends like in mid sentence?
Okay, so spoilers. This show's old. It's been around for a long time. It ends really weird, and there's all of this conspiracy of how it is or like what happened. Literally, the way it ends is Tony sitting in a diner. His wife and his son show up. His daughter shows up. He looks at the counter. There's this guy over here that's giving him a weird look, and he gets up. The guy gets up from the counter, and then the episode ends. That's it. People are saying that guy was there to kill Tony Soprano. But if you've watched the show, he'd been shot twice. One when another part of New York decided they wanted to try and kill. No, his uncle wanted to try and kill him. Hired some outside guys, shot him twice. He was in the car. He got away. The second time, his uncle has dementia, and Tony was trying to go check on him because he'd been home alone all day, and he shot Tony thinking it was somebody else because of his dementia. So I don't know. The basic premise of the show started off with is Tony Soprano is the leader of this family, and he keeps having anxiety attacks, and so he goes to therapy. Which the
Iron
therapy
Man
does
3. He's Tony Stark.
Oh yeah, it's exactly that. The therapy does not help him being paranoid all the time, not trusting anybody, having these rage outbursts. It doesn't help any of that. It's a good show. It was really good. They had great characters. I will tell you this: once you fall in love with one of the characters, there's most likely you're going to probably be killed.
The original Game of Thrones.
Yes, it's not like the Red Wedding, but so I finished that up there. I've not watched a lot. Work's been pretty crazy. I've been doing a lot more traveling than I'm used to doing, so I didn't really get to watch a bunch of stuff. I know there's something I did watch. Oh, I watched that ninja show on Max. I got caught up on that. It's like
the anime, not anime thing. So like
yeah,
that's one of those interesting things that Adult Swim's been doing. I don't know like who they're working with necessarily, but this is like the fourth project that they've done now where it's America paying for anime.
it's very good.
And I know this because what's his name? Clark, what was his name? DeMarco or whatever. Like the main guy in Adult Swim and all that. Like he's in that anime. Like he's a background character, and then I guess he becomes like a character. And so like if you see like this, I think he has glasses. I don't know. They're just like some white dude with glasses. Like this, that's him. And they kind of just designed a character off of him. Because like then there's that like apartment CC maybe. There's the Fooly Cooly FLCL things that happen. There's 3 of those. I don't think those did well at all. And then Big O season 2, I believe that was an American produced thing.
So. I mean, it's very good. I was looking for some anime to watch. What was it? Sunday, I want to say. Watch a couple episodes of that. It's very good. Very bloody, very well done. Yeah. I mean, it's not a big list. My list of games that I'm playing right now is even shorter. Only because work is really we're kind of like in a ramp up phase. We ramp up through the summer, and then usually as soon as fall hits, everything drops down. I mean, I'm not even kidding. Like everything is just crazy slow.
Yeah.
And I'll take more time off and then, but I'm just gonna throw my games I'm playing in there because it's not very much. Alex could probably guess what I'm playing. I am still playing Persona 4 Golden.
See, I thought you were gonna say Halo.
That's the other one I'm playing. This came out with a brand new season, and so um, more time for me to yell at the screen. And I am about 34 hours into Persona 4 Golden. Um, I was joking with Alex and hey, next time we want to do like one of these episodes where we talk about a game, can we pick something shorter? Because it's a long game.
It is.
Although I don't know if you've heard of this. We should totally play this on stream. It is Double Dragon Gaiden. Have you seen that yet?
Yeah.
Okay, so I own it. Played a little bit of it, but they're introducing some new characters here pretty soon and a free DLC in April. They fixed a bunch of bugs. It looks like Scott Pilgrim. Plays kind of like Scott Pilgrim, but there's 4 characters you can pick from. But here's the thing: as you progress in the game, you can buy characters. So, like, if you want a Bobo, you could buy a Bobo, and then do the game with that. Great game. I really was going to boot it this weekend, but I just didn't do it. But yeah, we should totally do that sometime. I know we played Streets of Rage, which was awesome, and we played Scott Pilgrim. This is like right up our alley.
Huh. Cool.
What about you? What have you been watching / playing?
I randomly watched Kung Fu Panda 3.
What did you think of that one?
So this is the one that's not in theaters. This is the one that was before that. It's fine. I don't think it's bad.
I don't think it's bad.
2, I think, is 1 and 2 are really good.
Yes.
I think 2 is probably the better film, to be honest. But spoilers for Kung Fu Panda 3. It was interesting because like you could see DreamWorks starting to do like their really like stylish things with their animation and all of that. Especially at the end with all the chi and chakra and all that kind of stuff. But the Panda Village was pretty cool in my opinion. And just like the dynamic with Po and his fathers was really good. But yeah, I don't think it was a bad film for sure. So it made me want to look into all the other Kung Fu Panda stuff. Because I remember watching bits and pieces and enjoying the Nickelodeon one, Legends of Awesomeness. It's just like a CG cartoon. Clearly doesn't look like the show, but it runs very well because like there's no fur. Like they essentially just like painted models, and like it still looks pretty good. Honestly, I think it looks better than some of these later things that came out on Amazon. Just because it just knows what it is and it makes it more fluid. But I found Legends of Awesomeness. I found the first season of it on Paramount. So I watched a few episodes of that last night, I believe. And yeah, it's fine. It's like it's a cartoon that I can just have on, like while I'm doing other things. Not Jack Black is really, really good. He sounds just like Jack Black. So like I think the voice acting is pretty spot on in that cartoon, to be honest, like getting really good sound alikes for everyone, because no one reprises their roles. Like even Monkey is not Monkey. It is not Jackie Chan. It's the guy who plays Jackie Chan in Jackie Chan Adventures.
Yeah.
So
which
like,
I thought that was so weird. That was like one of my favorite shows. Like, I love that Jackie Chan Adventures.
yeah.
Did you, not to go on a separate thing, the new movie? So Mantis, maybe not Mantis. So Snake, Crane, Monkey, and Tiger. Those are not going to be the voices from the other Kung Fu Panda movies. So like,
they changed everyone in the 4th movie.
I guess they're not coming back. So Jackie Chan's not coming back. Lucy Liu's not coming back.
Seth Rogen.
Jolie, I thought he was. See, now I gotta look. You keep talking and I'll look.
Okay, so yeah, so Legends of Awesomeness is pretty good. But they only have the first season. I don't think it really matters. Legends of Awesomeness, I want to say, takes place after Kung Fu Panda 2, maybe, Um, and then it's just a cartoon, and then there is another cartoon that is on Amazon, and that takes place after 3 because he's training pandas. And then there's another cartoon, Dragon something, that is on Netflix, and that takes place after the Amazon show, but before Kung Fu Panda 4. And so there's just a lot of Kung Fu Panda lore, I guess.
Yeah.
But no, like the show is definitely good. Again, like the sound alikes sound pretty good, but there are certain characters I'm like, yeah, this is not David Cross. He's trying his best, but it's fine.
The only person that's coming back for the new movie that's part of the 5, Seth Rogen. They don't even have anybody listed for the other ones. But Dustin Hoffman's coming back, James Hong.
Because that movie's already out. That movie came out like last week, I think.
Yeah, I'm hoping to see it next week with the kids being on vacation.
Yeah.
I need someone to see it because I've got a child that is scared of like weird eye things. And what worries me is the chameleon when she changes is the weird eye things.
Oh yeah.
I don't need him freaked out. He's got a thing for eyes. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
I think I was telling you he got scared of the Good Burger thing when she came in with a face thing on. He freaked out. He's got weird things with that. But yeah, I didn't know there was so many Kung Fu Panda like lore after the movies. I knew of the Nickelodeon one. I think there's one on Amazon, but that's all I knew about.
Yeah, because there's the one on Amazon, and then there's the one on Netflix. So like, it gets really annoying because in order to watch all of these, and like I'm pretty sure the Amazon and Netflix ones don't have physical releases. Like, you're gonna have to like go around so many other places in order to watch it. And Legend of Awesomeness, like the other seasons, from what I was looking at, just aren't even available like for purchase.
No.
And so like, that's not necessarily lost media, but that's media that you can't buy, so that's kind of weird. So I wonder if there's some weird licensing issue there to where they can't sell it. But I'm pretty sure Legends of Awesomeness you can just buy on DVD, like in a DVD pack. But that is an HD show, so like, why you want a DVD copy of it if it's HD?
Right.
And so yeah, long story though, but like yeah, Kung Fu Panda is really good. I didn't really get into Kung Fu Panda initially until the second movie came out, because the second movie came out or was coming out, and I saw it with my younger sister, I believe, at the time. Let's see, yeah, when that came out, yeah, I saw it with her. And so because it was coming out, Nickelodeon or someone had here's a marathon of just, we're showing the first movie, and so I was able to watch the first movie like the night before and then go see the second movie like back to back. And so yeah, so Kung Fu Panda 2 is definitely the peak of Kung Fu Panda for sure, but 3 wasn't bad. Like, I don't think it's the worst thing ever. I've heard very mixed things about 4. Like, I've heard like you said, because the 5, it sounds like the 5 just aren't really in it either. So I wonder if they even have speaking roles. I wonder if just Mantis had a speaking role, and maybe that's why Seth Rogen's credited. So yeah, I don't know, but I don't know if I told you this. Last week, I saw Madam Web.
Oh, you did you?
In theaters.
What is your Alex opinion of the film?
This movie's bad, but I enjoyed my time.
It's funny because I was getting ready to watch the new Aquaman that's on HBO Max now.
Yeah.
And then my brother posted, he said he wanted to get a hold of Jason Momoa to get those 2 hours back. I said, it couldn't be that bad. I liked Ant-Man, the last one. I liked it.
Mhm.
And people were like, "Oh, it's awful." I guess each their own, you know?
It also depends on if you're more in that environment or whatever. So like,
Right.
you know, with Jay, like he's dealing with comics all the time, so of course he's more critical of stories. Whereas with us, we're not as much, so we're pretty chill when it comes to like, well, do we have fun? Yeah, it's like I'm gonna reference this, I guess, but you can find it on YouTube, and then you can also find an edited version on Spotify and stuff of our stream, where we were over at the bunker, and we did a live stream interview type thing, as well as just talk to a bunch of cool people about things, and we even did like a ranking of movies and stuff. So that's what that reminded me of. Like, I'm more forgiving of movies now than I used to be. I used to be super, super critical. But then, like, because I was watching recent movies, I'm like, Spider-Man 3 is not that horrible. And then Jay looked at
Right.
me like, really? And so, like, I had to explain myself. But, like, yeah, I feel like I'm less critical of those things now just because of where I'm at maybe in life. And maybe because also I'm not working in that type of environment
Right.
anymore. It's kind of the same thing with video games and stuff. Like, I don't work in a video game store anymore, or a pop culture type store like a GameStop or anything. So I'm not as affected or in the know of that kind of stuff. So I can just enjoy certain things. Like, man, it was amazing when I like when certain dates passed after like I quit GameStop, and I was like, man, I don't know what's coming out this year. Like, I don't have things memorized. I don't know like this and this about these games and this game. Like, I still have a knowledge of games because we're doing a gaming podcast and all that, and I look at stuff all the time, but like I'm not as like into it to where like I just have so many things memorized that are just like sales points.
Right.
And so I can enjoy things more now. So yeah, maybe that's it. Like, maybe that's why he doesn't like the movie. Maybe because he's just so into the comic zone all the time. Um, maybe that's why.
Maybe. I mean, he's. I love how like I said certain things and you said certain things. He's like, "What?
Yeah.
You guys are crazy." Um, no, no. I plan on watching it. The question is, did you watch Morpheus?
Oh, Morbius.
More. That's what I said. Morpheus. No,
Yeah,
we're
you
not
said
talking about.
Morpheus. No, I would
Yeah.
love to watch a movie about Morpheus. That'd be great. Like,
I
just
don't think.
Matrix prequel or something. Yeah, be great. But no, I did not watch Morbius. I did not see him morbing out. I did not see any of that. But no, yeah, Madam Web. Madam Web was a treat, you know. I've seen plenty of people describe this as a very like this movie is going to be a cult following movie, like cult classic. This movie is going to be. I've seen this movie described as The Room. Like
Oh,
that's how it is, you know. Like I there's just a lot of things I've seen this movie described as. So um
that one's a rough one. That's a rough comparison. I
yeah,
remember. Do you remember when Adult Swim showed that movie like for 24 hours or something like that?
yeah.
I watched like 30, or I watched like 20 minutes of it. I'm like, God, this, I can't watch
Oh, I
this.
watched that whole movie. I rented it from Netflix via DVD mail. Um and then I watched the Franco movie, like the disaster artist based on that book. Um but yeah, I've seen it described as The Room just because it's like comically bad, you know. Just very poor direction, maybe a little bit of poor acting, but I think it's mostly the direction of like this movie's doing what now? The actors don't care, so they're delivering lines poorly. Um,
Yeah.
there's just a lot of weird product placement. Um, like really weird product placement. I've seen some other people bring this up where like I guess Pepsi's their sponsor because they like show Pepsi a lot. But then there's a scene where she's given a Pepsi and like it's like very bright old Pepsi like in front of her, and she's kind of just like holding it like out into the audience so you can like see it and be like, oh, there's a Pepsi there. But like she doesn't even want the Pepsi, so it's a weird like brand deal there where she's like, I don't want this. I want a beer or something like that. And so it's like, why are you even holding a Pepsi here if you're gonna make the line being I don't want a Pepsi? Like that makes it so like we don't want Pepsi either. Um but there's a Pepsi sign that like falls at the end that like saves them and all of that. Um and the worst part about this movie is, oh wait, man, there's so many bad parts actually. But okay. One of the most annoying parts about this movie is that the villain doesn't speak in the shots. He is ADR'd for every single scene. They tape
Really?
over everything and he reads it again. You can tell because he sounds way different compared to everyone else, and he sounds louder and like in a different like space. But like it's even like, even if he's wearing like his weird like Spider-Man mask, or if he's just a person and he's just speaking, you can see his mouth move. It's not moving quite right because he is lip syncing him with himself. And I don't know if it is the same actor speaking. Like I don't know if they got a new person to speak over him. Like for Bane or whatever, when they did that, like for Batman the Dark Knight Rises, like Bane's wearing a mask and stuff all the time. So like you can definitely ADR that, and that's totally fine. He's supposed to sound kind of weird and stuff, so like that works perfectly well. But like for this guy who like doesn't have a mask on most of the time, he just looks like a crazy weird, I don't know, scientist man, I guess. Um yeah, his voice is just coming from everywhere instead of from his mouth, and it's just awkward. Um,
Yeah, I will watch it when it comes to streaming. That's what I watch.
well, buckle in because it is on streaming, I think. I mean, I guess you technically have to buy it, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to buy it. I don't want to rent it. I don't want to. I'll wait till it comes to like, HBO or someplace where it's like, oh hey, look, it's free streaming. You'll love it.
Yeah, it's really weird. um I don't know what else to say. Like it's not worth it. Don't watch it. People who are listening, I guess, don't watch it. Ben, you should watch it, but like other people, don't watch it. It's not worth it at all. Like the best part about the movie experience though was that it was just my friend and myself, and there's another guy in front of us, and that was it in that theater. It was great. That guy, I think he was actually enjoying the film, and props to him. He was enjoying it. He was laughing at like actual jokes, whereas my friend and I were laughing at every other line and just trying to hold in our laughter, because just like the weird delivery of lines, and then we're just like, that's stupid. um or just certain things happen and we're just like, what why is this happening? But like miming it to each other, because like there's no one else in that theater except the guy was in front of us, so he couldn't see us reacting. um so yeah, that's what I was watching. I've been playing a lot of Final Fantasy Rebirth. I'm on chapter 11, I think 11 or 12, and 12 actually. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. And I am at a point where I got stuck, but thankfully I did a previous save, and so I am working off of that save now and trying to just do some side quests, because I'm at a part where in the actual game where I have to do a fight with a party that I'm not used to, and then I have to do a one-on-one fight twice, and I died the second time, and it's just all in a row. And if you click like retry fight or something, then you're starting from the very beginning of all that. And so yeah, so I'm just gonna have to just do some side quests, do some grinding, maybe kind of get my weapon skills all loaded up from everyone and everything. But Rebirth is great. Um, I don't know how I feel about it now. Because I'm doing what I'm doing right now, but also just there's issues with pacing in the game later on. Like I want to say after like chapter 8 or 9, the game it forces you to be in more like parties that you're not used to. And so because of that, it makes it harder because it's like, oh, these two people who you don't really play as, they're gonna go do their own thing. And so you follow them. There's a lot of story reasons why parties get split. And so they lock you in a certain party, and then once you go and do your thing, and then the other party is like, all right, now let's go meet them, and then they all have to meet. um and so there's that, and that is pretty annoying at times, just because it just feels like padding for padding's sake. um but like story otherwise, the jokes, the um side quests are pretty good, honestly, for what they are. Queen's Blood is amazing. That's the new card game that's in the game. It's really really fun. Like they should sell it, honestly, as a real game. Um, Whether that's like a digital thing, like on like iOS or whatever, or sell actual cards, because like I think people would actually play this game because it's really really good. It's kind of like Witcher 3 like had that one card game or whatever, and people,
Oh yeah.
was it Gwent or something, and like people loved it so much is that like they actually made cards for it. So I think they could definitely do that for this. um but yeah, Final Fantasy is really really good. um that's Oh, I started was it Balatro? Is that what that's called? Do you know what I'm talking about? The
Yeah, yeah,
poker
yeah.
game.
Yeah, I was interested because I heard on the kind of funny, I heard Blessing talk about it, and I was like, I do enjoy poker. Um, and none of my friends that I used to play with play anymore. And the regular poker games are awful online. And so he was talking about it. How is it?
It's a roguelike poker game. So like you're going through and you're just going through a run, and you're just trying to like complete the run essentially, and if you lose, then you lose and you have to start it all over again and do a new run. um but it's hard right now because I'm still not like understanding it completely well and just trying to learn like what to do necessarily. But essentially, like, there's so many runs within the run that you have to do, and so you um say like the chips that you have to get over like 400 chips or something for this first one. It's a small bid, small ante or whatever. And so you basically have certain decks, like I guess you get like one deck in the very beginning, and so you have so many hands to either discard cards or play cards, and they're separated. So like I think my deck, like I have less discards but more plays maybe. So it's like I can play 5 hands, let's say, and I can only discard 3. And so you kind of just have to play off of that and try to make sure that you make enough chips um to beat it before you run out of hands. And if you do beat it earlier and get like a really good hand, then you get money, due to like winning conditions and stuff. Like if you have like 3 hands left, you would get like a certain multiplier for extra hands, and then that turns into more money. um and then you can use that money to get different like power ups, I guess, that stay for the rest of the run. So like there's different Joker cards or other cards that are like that stay up on the top, and it's like If you do a flush, you get a ×3 multiplier or something. Or you can get special cards. I forget what they're called. I think they're like tarot cards actually. And like one of them is like it's a one-time use. The Jokers aren't one-time use. They kind of just like stay and they can just do things on their own. And then you have the others that are like one-time use cards that you can buy. And one of them is like you can turn 3 cards into another suit or something. Like if you want to try to get a flush or get whatever, you could be like, oh man, I only have 2 spades, I better turn 3 of these other cards into spades, and then you can do a flush, and then yeah, you just keep going. I haven't won yet as far as like the actual like big thing itself, but I'm enjoying my time with it. It's definitely one of those things to like wind down like before you go to bed or something, just because it's kind of mindless. And you just try to go through a run and just see if you can do it, see how you do. And the game does pretty good job at teaching you how to do things initially, and then it kind of just is like, read cards, figure it out for yourself. Because you can also buy cards like booster packs as well. And different booster packs have different things. They can have more like arcana cards and you have to like choose one, or they can also have extra normal cards, so but like they have powers or something. So there'd be like a striped, I don't know, let's say it's like a striped queen of spades, and so that specific striped queen of spades just gets like plus 50 chips or something when it's played, like just extra, just no questions asked. Or has some, or other ones just have some weird things where it's like, oh, you get a lot of stuff, but it's a glass jack or something, so 1 out of 4 chance that the jack will be destroyed if you play it, just like stuff like that. And then you just keep going and going and lose, win, whatever. So like it's an interesting way of playing poker. It's a way to make it fresh and interesting. But it's difficult because you're just trying to get good hands. You're not fighting anyone else, if that makes sense. So like you can't fold, you can't, you're not like actually playing against another person. You just see, oh, 400 chips, that means I have so many hands to get 400 chips in my plays. So sometimes that means removing, like discarding cards that you think would be good for like normal games or whatever. But it's like, man, maybe I should throw away this pair of 3s because that's not worth much compared to other potential cards like straights and flushes. And even like a full house isn't necessarily worth it sometimes if it's a lower full house versus a higher full house. Like because I feel like generally in regular poker, like if someone has a full house, cool, they pretty much won generally. But with this, it's like, oh man, I got 3 3s and 2 2s, and that's a full house technically, but because it's so low, is it worth it to play it? Do you know what I mean? Like it'd be different if it was 3 queens and 2 jacks. Like then it's like, yeah, that's a really good full house because then you get this multiplier, and then because it's a jack and a queen, like they're worth more. Chips just on their own, and yeah, so like it's, you just have to think about it, you know. But it's definitely a fun game. It's pretty cheap too. But I have it on Switch, so that's definitely the place to play it. But yeah, you should buy that game. I think it's pretty fun.
It's definitely on my. I'm thinking about it. The more I think about it, I will probably end up getting it. But yeah, I heard Blunty talk about it.
It's so cheap.
Yeah, it's not very expensive.
Um, but yeah, I've been playing that, and then yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. Like I've really just been really playing Final Fantasy a lot. Like it's the main thing, you know. It's the main thing that we've been doing. But yeah. Let me see here. Guess we should probably get the actual topic, right? Topic of the show.
Yeah, I mean, and this one we talked about at the very beginning of the show. We were just random conversations, and we said we should just talk about a couple of these. So
Yeah, so kind of want to just talk about certain shows. Like we did an episode a while back as well, but then also like a couple weeks ago we did an episode very nostalgic about like games and as well as like stores and that kind of stuff. So we kind of thought to talk about like nostalgia when it comes to like certain shows and all of that. So I guess just to try to figure out where we're going with this, I kind of want to make you go first.
yeah, yeah, and we weren't gonna like. It's not like our top five or whatever. We're just kind of
Reminiscing.
casual conversations. One particular we talked about at the very beginning is Double Dare. I remember getting cable and Nickelodeon being super fresh. And there are a lot of these shows from Canada, like, you know, Can't Do That on Television and Out of Control and all these other ones. And then after that first year, Double Air came out. And I was like, I want to do this show. The obstacle courses, uh, and just the pure fact that it's going to get messy. But then they would like win prizes, which was really cool as well. At that point, there really wasn't any like kid game shows. There was a show called Funhouse, I remember, which was pretty much along those lines. I think they came out later. Don't quote me on it. But Double Dare was the thing. I mean, it really was. And
Yeah.
I have been watching it on Paramount. God love my kids. They're like, "Dad, this looks old." I think we were looking, wasn't it like 1988? When some of those first episodes came out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's just a great show.
Yeah. No. I think that in particular is one of the reasons why, like, I really like game shows and stuff. Probably. Um. So especially like maybe when I got older and stuff, things like Wipeout and stuff was more of like the family adult ish, or like Ninja Warrior. Like it's the same kind of stuff. Um and so like yeah, Double Dare definitely helped me with that, as well as just help me appreciate and like learning to get into those types of shows, as well as just like normal game shows like Family Feud and stuff like that. Like I fell in love with game shows probably because of the shows that were on, like Double Dare. I forget what it is. What was it? The one with there's like a game show. It was the one with Summer Sanders. You know what I'm talking
Oh,
about?
yeah. I can't think of the name of it though.
Figure It Out. Is it Figure It Out?
Yes, yes. I think you're right.
Yeah, like there's just like a bunch of other shows like that. Like I feel like at a certain point, especially with Nickelodeon, they were really doing a lot of game shows. Like was it Games and Sports, Nickelodeon Gas?
Yep.
That was a thing. I never really watched it because I was like, ew, sports are bad. So I didn't watch it. I was like, give me my Real Monsters. Let me go watch that. Um,
I remember that show as well.
yeah.
Um, eh, it was crazy because this was like the peak of Nickelodeon. I feel like they were at their peak at this point, because they not only had game shows, They had their own cartoons. They had we other stations had TGIF, right? So big, huge amount of shows. Full House, Family, not Family Guy, Family, Family Matters,
Yeah.
and so then like on Saturday night was Snick, and right before that they would show like Ah Real Monsters and Rocko's Modern Life, uh, and so like I feel like this was like the peak of Nintendo, or not Nintendo. God, I'm just not speaking right today. Uh, this Nickelodeon. By the way, your show Figure It Out was from went from 1997 to 2013.
I think they brought it back. I think that's
Maybe.
why. Because I do vaguely remember it was a different person running it. Um, but yeah, no, I remember I've talked about this before as well, but I did like one of those tours back at the Universal Studios Florida. And so we could see like certain like stages and stuff like that. They weren't taping anything those days, but that day that we were in there, because I think a lot of stuff moved over to Sunset at that point, so the one that's in LA, I believe. um but they had like certain just stages just already set, and I believe one of them was Figure It Out at the time. Like they just had it up there for some reason. um but yeah, there's just so many interesting shows that came on at that time, especially because yeah, you brought up Snick, like um Keenan and Kel
Yeah.
is still hilarious. The first episode is gold just on its own. Like that's the one where it's the one where he puts the screw in the tuna.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because Keenan like eats a can of tuna or whatever, and he chokes, and because there's a screw in it, and he's like, I'm gonna sue this tuna company, and then they go through everything, finally get to court, and Kel has to testify and be like, so Kel, you saw me eat the tuna and there's a screw in it. And then Kel all of a sudden just like breaks down. He's like, I drop the screw in the tuna. I'm sorry, Keaton. I'm sorry. And just him just running around like very slapstick, just saying that he dropped the screw in the tuna. Like that's one of those like core memories that I just remember from that show, as well as I mean like all that stuff with like Good Burger and all that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah. I think it's funny. My wife's probably gonna kill me for saying this, but she grew up in a really strict household. She was not allowed to watch anything on Nickelodeon. Like zero.
There are a lot of people that I know that were like that, and for some things I can be like, yeah, I could see it. Like honestly, like there are definitely some things on Nickelodeon at the time where it's just, or certain cartoons and stuff, even like Ren and Stimpy. It's like,
Oh yeah.
yeah, I can see why you weren't allowed to watch this channel. I was. It turned out fine, I guess. Maybe. Um,
It's so funny, Ren and Stimpy. I always show this to my kids. I don't let them watch the show because they're still a little young, but like the older ones laugh because a meme I send them all the time is the scene where they were rubber nipple salesmen
oh
and
yeah,
they go to the White House and Mr.
horse.
Horse answers. He's like, "Nope, don't need any rubber nipples, but do you have any walrus protectors?" And he comes out with this full size walrus
He's
holding
like,
it
help
up, and
me.
he goes, "Call the police."
Yeah,
To this day, every time I see that, I just laugh. But then now that I'm older and I'm thinking about it, I'm like, yeah, that whole scenario, there is something severely wrong with everything in that little clip there.
yeah,
Um, or the fact that they're selling rubber nipples, you know?
yeah. I don't know. That creator is a weird guy anyway, so that's probably one of the reasons why. But like, Powdered Toast Man's just kind of weird. I used to have a VHS tape of Ren and Stimpy, um, and so like it had what did it have? It had Happy Happy Joy Joy because you have to. And then it had the episode where they play the board game, Don't Whiz on the Electric Fence,
Yep.
and like, yeah, that was a interesting episode for sure. Yeah, I also had like some Rocco VHS tapes at the time. I was big into like Rugrats when I was younger as well at the time. Doug, everything. But to get back to more like live action stuff as well, like I know this isn't really Nickelodeon per se, but I guess it doesn't really matter. But like, um, Nick at Night, I don't know when that started, to be honest, but like I remember, like, did they used to show like I Love Lucy on there as well?
Yeah, like that, Mr. Ed, Leave It to Beaver.
Okay, I
Uh,
remember watching Leave It to Beaver, and then I remember watching Savage, uh Fred Savage. What's the show?
oh, The Wonder Years.
Yeah, I used to watch the Wonder Years on there as well.
That was such a weird thing too, because it was like it was either like really, really old stuff or like, 80s, like Wonder Years and stuff like that. And I remember at one point, weren't they doing like old 70s sitcoms of some sort? Like I'm pretty sure Mork and Mindy was on there at one point. Maybe I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think you're right. But then like also like the stuff that I really remember. Um, let's see. Okay, interesting. So Nick at Night, I guess TV Land, the channel used to be called Nick at Night's TV Land, and then they kind of just
Okay.
made a new channel for it. So that's why it had all that kind of stuff there. But I remember watching stuff on there that was just syndicated later. So like stuff that was kind of recent, maybe. Like Home Improvement, Roseanne was on there a lot. I hate Roseanne. I like John Goodman, but I hated that show. Um, and then let's see, later on it was like Family Matters, um Fresh Prince is where I really got into Fresh Prince. I feel was then. um no, Boy Meets World wouldn't have been on there because it's a Disney show. But the meme, the George Lopez show was on there, and that aired on there on syndication forever. I feel it's probably still on Nick at Night, George Lopez show,
Probably. Probably.
because like I don't know if you know those memes or whatever. Like you see a lot of those like TikToks and stuff like that where someone's asleep and then they hear the Lowrider song playing and they wake up to Lowrider and George Lopez like jumping up like in the show. Um, I love the George Lopez show. I think that show is hilarious. I know like, certain characters and stuff are bad, but like I think he's hilarious. I think his friend is hilarious. I think his mom on that show is hilarious. Um,
Yeah. And I feel like I remember when TV Land became a channel, they just threw it into the mix. Like I remember getting it, and it was like Lassie and like some of these really older shows, and then it would get a little newer as it went through the day. But yeah, I think you nail on the head when you're talking about like all that and some of these other ones. One that I remember distinctly that I was like even older, I was like, I gotta watch this. Was Are You Afraid of the Dark? Um, and it right about the same time, Goosebumps was on Fox.
yeah,
I felt Are You Afraid of the Dark went like that step a little higher. Um,
because that was a Teen Nick Snick thing, I want to say, and so like they got away with more because I think it might have been rated PG instead
it
of
was on pretty late. It
yeah.
was like I don't know which came first, but it was always Ren and Stimpy, Are You Afraid of the Dark, or vice versa. It was
Hmm.
one of those two. Maybe Ren and Stimpy kind of finished up Snick the Night, but it was always like Clarissa Explains It All earlier, and
Yes,
then Rocco.
I loved watching Clarissa all the time.
Yeah,
That
but
opening
like
song is really good.
the whole story aspect of that. Well, I mean, it really was kind of like Goosebumps, but Goosebumps was very kid friendly because it was on Saturday mornings,
Mhm.
But this definitely took it a little bit further. They rebooted it a couple years ago, maybe a year or two ago. Those are very dark. I
Huh.
watched a couple on Paramount. It's kind of funny because they rebooted it, but the movie Scary Stories Told in the Dark rebooted like the teen horror genre, which is like mid-teen level, not too scary, but just enough.
Mhm.
But man, I remember watching Are You Afraid of Dark in my room, lights out, pitch black dark, and then
Not me. I had to have the lights on, I watched it though. I was a young kid watching Are You Afraid of the Dark, but still watched
another
that
show
one.
my wife wasn't allowed to watch. We always joke back and forth. I was like, "Did you watch anything as a kid?" And she tells me the stuff she's watched. I'm like, "That's it?" And I'm like, "Man, you missed out." But like, yeah, I there's so many good episodes too. The ones that come to my mind, obviously, the Zebo the Clown one. I think that was like the first episode, maybe. Um, and then there was the one with the Twisted Claw, which is like a retelling of the Monkey Paw.
Yeah, I remember that
That
for
one was,
sure.
and that one was freaky, especially spoilers from 1990 when he's like, man, I wish my grandfather was here. He'd know what to do. And you just see the car pull up, and they didn't show anything, but it's that whole thought in your mind of what's going on.
Hmm.
Super spooky stuff, but it was so good.
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking here just to see. Um, let's see here. So like so it is a Nickelodeon created thing. Let's see. But it also was teamed up with Canada. So I guess Canada got it at the same time that we did. So that's
Oh,
kind
that's
of
great.
interesting. Compared to like us getting Canadian stuff later. And you'll see that, of course, I guess not necessarily now, maybe now. But like in like Cartoon Network, like the later years, like a lot of their cartoons, like the became were Canadian shows that then came here. So like Johnny Test or what was the drama Total Drama Island, like that kind of stuff. Those are all like Canadian shows. And then I guess also yeah, Nickelodeon did Canadian shows as well. They did the well, I mean, not just like, but I mean, like cartoons, like later on in the early 2000s. There's like the surfing one, and there's the one like they had a specific art style, and there's the one with like the kids in the mall.
Oh yeah,
But like both of those were definitely Canadian as well.
their
But yeah,
first their first shows they had, you can't do that on television, and Out of Control, those were totally Canadian shows, which is funny because Out of Control had Dave Coulier. That was like one of his first
yeah,
early jobs. I tried watching some of those now, and I'm like, God, these are not aged well. The
yeah.
the non-political correctness on most of it. Um, it's mostly just fart and vomit jokes, and
Listen,
you know,
that's all Nickelodeon was for the longest time. Like
I don't know if you ever
that's why they're
watched.
slime.
I don't know if you ever watched the show, but they had always this thing. They go to this one guy's place to eat. His name was Barf, and so like he would make jokes about the secret sauce and pick his nose and put it on the burger, and they would throw up. You catch it in a bucket, and that was a special sauce. Uh,
So now I'm just thinking about
like
Spaceballs because he's a barf.
yeah, and then they did a couple where the kid was locked up in a somewhere, but like they didn't show it, but like the person that was playing like the general is like they were locked up in war area. Um, definitely had like that German slash Nazi like voice, I guess, which would never fly today on
Hmm.
a kids show. But you know, that was like super early, and I'm pretty sure those were Canadian shows.
Yeah. Do you remember? I forget when this happened, but there were these certain things that happened on Nickelodeon. And again, like I don't know if this is when you were a kid. I don't know if this is something that maybe it was like the president or whatever was trying to make you do. There are these things called like days of play where
Yep.
essentially for a Saturday they would pay and make it so you would go on the Nickelodeon and Nickelodeon would say, "Hey there." It would have like a ticker or whatever, and it'd say like, "Today's National Day of Play, so we are not playing anything on Nickelodeon until like 4 p.m. or something." And as a kid, you're clearly upset because you're just like, it's Saturday. I want to watch cartoons. Like this is what a kid is programmed to do. It's although I don't know if they do that anymore. But like yeah, like Saturday morning, like you go and you watch your I don't know. For me it was Kids WB, and
Yeah.
then like that kind of stuff like Batman or Earthworm Jim, Animaniacs, and then you watch like some of your Fox shows like Digimon, and then when you're done with that, then you would go to Nickelodeon. But then like Nickelodeon, yeah, it's just like, hey, can't watch TV, not today. And yeah, it was annoying. Like the kid in me is annoyed about it. The adult in me is still kind of annoyed about it. Not gonna lie, because like I get it. I guess it's just like one day out of the year as well.
Right.
But they want kids and stuff to be active. They want them to go outside. They want them to try to be physically fit and attentive and um just be healthy, for sure. And so yeah, that's definitely why that exists. But we do not have the days of play anymore for us as adults. Instead, we have stuff like Magic Mind that help us out a lot. That keep us very attentive. It keeps me awake for sure. It helps me during the day. We don't have those, those kid stuff anymore. Lack of better
No.
term. Like we're not just naturally energized. Like we definitely need some help with that during the day. And so with Magic Mind, thankfully, like I use it for sure once a day to um get me that energy I need to just get through the day. It's a good substitute for like soda or coffee or anything like that. For me personally, and especially because I mean it has all natural ingredients. So like it's no sugar, it's nut free, it's vegan, keto, paleo friendly. It's a thing that helps me out a lot since we're no longer children. We need help
No.
being energized.
Well, and saying that, we are no longer children, so we have to be careful what we put into our bodies. When I would do just the regular energy drinks, the sugar-free ones, man, like I would have this like great momentum, right? And then it would just drop off. And I with when I use Magic Mind, I don't have that. It's like a constant the full day of being like, attentive and getting my work done. And then when it's time for me to go to bed, I'm able to go to bed without feeling, you know, awful because of that drink I had, or having like a bunch of sodas. You know, um, I have never had a crash with Magic Mind, and I think that's why I like it because, as you said, we are no longer children and can't drink a case of soda to do an all nighter. We just can't do that anymore.
We
That would
definitely
probably
cannot.
that
And
would kill me.
also, even if you were like a child, don't do that. Children
Don't do that.
listening, yeah, don't just drink a whole case of soda. Don't do that. Um, but yeah, thankfully, with Magic Minds, we have some special deals for you here. If you go to magicmind.com/get at it games, that is magicmind.com/GET. GETATGAMES, magicmind.com/GetAtGames. You can get up to 56% off your first subscription, or 20% off of a one-time purchase with the code GetAtit20. That's GETATIT20. Yeah, we definitely recommend it here because since we've been using it, we feel great for sure. If you don't like it, that is totally fine. Obviously, not every product is meant for everyone. Everyone has different preferences and stuff. So yeah, if you don't like it, Magic Mind has a 100% money back guarantee, no questions asked. So yeah, if you don't like it, they'll refund you within 3 to 4 hours, which is pretty good there. So again, that is magicmind.com/GetAtItGames with code GetAtit20. Magicmind.com/GetAtitGames with code GetAtit20 to get that one-time purchase 20% off code there for sure. So yeah.
Speaking of shows, I think there's one show we should probably talk about that I did not enjoy until later in life. It is a show called Pete and Pete, and it's so funny because during Halloween, I was trying to find things that, not that I don't like Disney, but when you've watched the Disney ones over and over and over and over again, it gets repetitive.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, well, what about like when Nickelodeon was like big and they did the Halloween events? That event you could win a Sega Genesis. I didn't win one, but it's okay. But we watched our first episode. I watched it with my kids, and it was the Halloweenies episode.
Mm-hmm.
That show is so well done, and watching it now as an adult, I'm like, oh man, this is like just well directed, well, acted. Such a good episode. But then I started watching the seasons, right? And I'm like, God, this show is like way above its time.
Yeah.
Could never do the show today. Never could do the show today. The fact that the younger brother Pete has a tattoo would probably not go well with parents.
Yeah.
Or they make the jokes about mom's metal plate that picks up the radio stations.
Yeah.
Also, let's be completely upfront. His personal superhero probably should wear better pants. But like, I still think that show is like really good show. I wish I would have watched it when I was younger.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I do remember watching Pete and Pete when I was younger for sure. But I didn't get into it until I was older. Just because it has that sort of, I don't know if nuance is the word, but like I feel like you just appreciate it more when you're a little bit older compared to like being a kid when it was airing. And so yeah, definitely Pete and Pete is one of those things. I'm trying to figure out who it is, but I know someone who's like a huge fan of it. I don't remember who it is. But yeah, no, there's someone I know who like is a huge fan of Pete and Pete. I just don't remember who it is. So if you're listening and it's you, let me know. But yeah, it could be someone from high school, it could be someone from somewhere else. I really don't remember. But yeah, there's so when I think about these live action shows, especially like for Nickelodeon, I guess, since we've pretty much been focusing on them because they were the ones who were doing it the best at the time. For the most part, I would say. There was a time where Cartoon Network tried to do the same thing with Andrew WK. It was awful. It was very bad. There were like 3 different shows. The only good show that was from it was Hole in the Wall, and that's because it was just a game show thing where they try to fit in the wall. But like all the other shows on Cartoon Network at the time that were clearly just trying to, they're like, oh, we're not just cartoons, we're doing live action stuff like Disney and like Nickelodeon. See, don't you like it? And most people are like, no, we don't. And then that's why it went away. Um, man, remember? Actually, you probably don't remember. There was some weird like backdoor pilot show on Cartoon Network in like probably 2007 or 2008, and it was a show that was making fun of Disney, where a kid goes to Disney World essentially, and he like gets hit by a car, and they have to do an emergency brain transplant, and so they transplant Walt Disney's brain essentially into this kid's mind and into his brain instead. And so this kid somehow still retains all of his knowledge, but then now he can like see cartoons and stuff. It's an interesting concept, I guess, but because like clearly it's making fun of, the rumor. Um, who knows if it's actually true or not? We'll never know. I guess maybe some people do. Is Walt Disney's frozen body, frozen head, or something? Is that somewhere on Disney premises? Maybe. Is that why Disney made a movie called Frozen? So if you type in Disney's Frozen, you can't search for Disney's Frozen head in the search things. It's just
I
the
mean,
show Frozen, you know?
I don't remember that show, but I do remember the competition between the two.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like about this time Nickelodeon they're kind of like dipping a little bit. They just weren't having like all the huge things they were having before. Um, but I still even remember when Cartoon Network started, everything was Hanna-Barbera stuff, like old stuff
So good.
there. The Andrew WK, my kids that are in high school now, love that like Build, Destroy, or whatever that show was.
It was awful. It was an awful show.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, and it's so funny because they're like, so what's this guy do? And I'm like, oh, he does music. And so I let him listen to some of his music. It was the one album where the whole album is literally about parties.
Yeah.
I mean, like literally is what it is.
Hmm.
And he just married someone like really famous too. I don't remember who it was.
He
Or
did, yeah.
yeah. But like, they were trying to do the same thing. I think in that early '90s was the peak of Nickelodeon, though. I really do like 90, 91.
He
Their
married
peak.
Kat Dennings.
Yeah, that's who it was. Yeah,
Huh.
I know, right? I guess she's got to be famous.
Yeah.
But looking back at all these, like I know we were talking about a couple of them, like Salute Your Shorts, and I had a lot of friends that really liked Hey Dude. I never got into Hey Dude, but Salute Your Shorts was great.
Yeah.
I mean, where could you have a show where you have a kid on his name is Michael, but they call him Donkey Lips?
Yeah. Can't do that.
No, you can't do that. It's funny, we were talking about this before. I said I don't want to do my normal stuff like G.I. Joe and Thundercats and stuff like that. I want to get something more different. What was the one show, either Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network, that you were like, I could watch that today all the way through?
That's
To
a
put
good
you on the spot.
question. Like I have to just watch it straight through.
You could just always put it on, even if it's background noise, and you'll still watch it.
It depends. So like it really just depends on my mood. From that era,
It can be anything.
I don't know. Like, I mean, like I can always put Steven on Steven Universe. I can always put on or something like that. But like, if we're talking about older stuff, I would say, I Rugrats kind of annoys me nowadays. But and then Rocco's very hit and miss. Like now that I'm older,
Yeah.
like it's very very hit and miss. I probably Hey Arnold. I think Hey Arnold is pretty good. At what it does. And you get more out of it now as an adult. There's definitely more mature themes and stuff in Hey Arnold um, that you just don't understand as a kid. Like I guess like I just didn't understand like the concept of how they lived. I was just like, oh yeah, they just live in this place, and he has this really cool room. But I didn't realize like it's a boarding house, and so like the grandparents own it essentially, and like all the other people are tenants, and that's why Arnold has a nice room, because it's free because he's a kid. Um, but also like it deals with a lot of like inner city type stuff as well, like things that you just wouldn't see. You have the one now I don't remember his name, but the one man, it's like the Christmas episode where Arnold gets Mr. Quinn, and they're like, what was he want for Christmas? And he's just always sad for Christmas because of the war. And so he finds out like, oh, I know I'm gonna get for Christmas, I'm gonna find Mr. Quinn's daughter. And so like he does all this crazy stuff like on Christmas Eve to try to find this woman for him, um because like they were separated during a war. So that one's really really good and hits a lot more like now that you're just aware of those kind of things as an
Yeah.
adult. um and yeah, I don't know, like it didn't, like yes there were like certain like immature things and all that, but like it didn't belittle its audience. Like it didn't really try to dumb things down. It kind of just was like, here's the state of the world, here's how it is. Here are these kids, here's these kids who can't afford anything, so like they're all just like playing in a back lot, like, or they're playing in the street, and they're playing baseball or whatever, and they have to yell car because there's a car coming, and then they have to go back and play again, car, and then go out. Like I don't know, it's just certain things that you don't really see a lot of like city kids doing things.
Yeah.
And like I guess it's based on, I don't know if it's Seattle, but it's based in somewhere in Washington. I guess that's what they've come and said, is that in Washington State, I guess I should say. Whereas like everyone always kind of assumed like it was more like a New York City type thing. But yeah, I would say Hey Arnold probably is a good show to just put on
I,
and chill.
I never watched it. I see clips from it. My algorithm on TikTok is so crazy because it's
Yeah,
either martial arts, anime, video games, or like old school shows, right?
yeah.
And so I've seen clips of it. Um, Mine's Double Dare. I could just throw that on and just in the background and watch it. It is funny watching Double Dare now from 1988 or 1990 or whatever, and
Mhm.
you see the prizes, and you're like, man, back then those were a big deal, like a bike or a telescope or a trip to the Bahamas. Um, those were like a big deal back then. And I always was like, we're gonna go. My family, because there was 5 of us, we never really went to Florida. I didn't go to
Mhm.
Florida until I was an adult.
Huh.
So yeah, but I think I think also real quick as a good point, because of the technology we have today, we're able to watch a lot of this older stuff. Most of it's just streaming,
Yeah.
you know, which is crazy because back in the day you would have to try and like find it on YouTube or and it wouldn't be the best quality. And now most of it you can watch on your TV without having to Byron it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I'm looking here right now just to try to confirm, because I didn't want to say, I didn't want to be stupid and just say the wrong place or whatever.
Oh
but
yeah.
I just wanted to say, so yeah, that Hey Arnold episode I'm talking about, Arnold's Christmas, which is season 1, episode
Oh
18.
wow.
Um, yeah, Mr. Huynh and his daughter were separated during the Vietnam War. So like it also just touches on Vietnam War and all of that kind of stuff for children. And so you see like how that stuff goes. Or then you also see another episode where Arnold's grandpa lies and says that he was in a war, and he says that he fought Hitler. And so there's like a little thing where he's like about to like fight him, and he like punches out Hitler and wins, and they're like, grandpa, that didn't happen, you didn't do that.
Yeah. That's
But
crazy.
yeah, it's a but yeah, no, I just found out just by looking into this. I didn't know this. Dan Castellaneta plays the grandpa. Homer Simpson himself is Grandpa Phil in Hey Arnold. You learn something new every day.
I didn't know this, but he's done quite a few voices that are not Simpsons. I didn't know that.
I mean, he's in Aladdin because he's the genie when it's not Robin Williams. Let's see, he's in he was Earthworm Jim in the Earthworm Jim cartoon. Like, yeah, he's just in a bunch of different random things for sure.
Back when we didn't pay voice actors enough money.
Yeah.
Now they were taken care of, I hope. But
I hope so. But yeah, that was another episode of the get it. That's what we are. The Get At It Gaming Plus. Man, you know what? No, not even yet. Because I sound like what's his name, Mushmouth. I've been seeing a lot of clips for the Fat Albert movie on TikTok. The one with Kenan Thompson.
Yeah, those are awful.
I liked that movie when I was younger because it got me into Fat Albert as a kid, and I was like, all right, this is fine. Like Fat Albert, I guess. I don't know. It's older stuff. It's very dated. Man, there's another clip that we can't talk about here that I'll talk about later. But yeah, no, I sound like Mushmouth. That's why. But yeah, this has been another episode of also known as Get A Gaming Plus podcast. You can find us on Spotify. You can search us over there. If you're on Spotify and you're listening to us, if you want to see our lovely faces on here on other places, go ahead and go to youtube.com/GetAgaming, and you can find us there. There is a special episode, a very special episode about Pokemon and other things with Michaela, aka Gluten Free Waifu, that you can find on there. That, as far as I know, is just going to stay on YouTube. So definitely just go over there, because yeah, you're missing out on content. There's some stuff over there on YouTube that you've probably never seen, you know. There's a first look let's play thing of this game that we played once, and I never touched it again. There's some other stuff that we're planning for YouTube, you know, so maybe you should go over to YouTube and cross the seas, cross the web, surf the web over there. And yeah, I don't know what I'm saying anymore. It's late. But yeah, I got nothing else to say. What do you got, Ben?
Nothing but to get at it.
Get at it.